Hi there! Welcome to Annie's Crochet Stripe Afghan Club video tutorial for our final kit, kit number 11. I'm Lina Skvagersson and I've been your guide through the past 10 kits where you not only completed 30 beautiful stripes, but you broadened your crochet knowledge and experience along the way. You may have even taken this journey to learn to crochet. Either way, you've completed your mission and are now ready to put some final touches to this treasured Afghan. In this kit, I'll teach you how to weave in any remaining tails, block the stripes, and work the border to finish the Afghan. Before we begin, let's review the materials included in this kit and the items that you will need to have on hand. In this very last shipment, you received all the yarn you need for the border. So you got 1 skein of the cappuccino and you got 2 skeins of the color Harbor. In addition, you will need a bit of remnants of the color Seafoam that you've had from previous stripes. You also got the instruction leaflet. You will be using your eye hook. We have the stitch markers and the yarn needle, and all those you got free in your very first shipment. And for the finishing here now, you also need your scissors. You will need blocking boards as well as T-pins and a spray bottle. We will now work the border. We will work with Seafoam first all around our Afghan. Then we'll work around with our cappuccino, then 2 rounds with Harbor, and we'll finish with a reverse single crochet round. In the pattern, it will tell you to start at the top over in the right corner and work with Seafoam here all across the top. And then when you start working down the side, there is a section in the pattern that tells you how many stitches to work along each stripe. So for the start up here, that's the end of block 10. So it's stripe number 30 and it tells you to work 8 stitches across. For the next stripe, number 29, you're going to work 6 stitches. And for stripe 28, you're going to work 6 stitches. And then you can see for the next block how it's listing 7 stitches for stripe 27, 6 for the next one, and so on. So that will be really helpful to give you some guidance on how many stitches to pick up to make your border all even and nice. So we'll be working with Seafoam, and I will be starting up here in the upper right corner. So I will put my hook into the very first stitch to join the Seafoam, and then the pattern tells us to chain 1. And now this is the corner stitch. We will be working a single, a chain 2, and a single here in the same stitch. So single, chain 2, and a single. That gives us a little bit of a corner here to begin with. Then we will be working single crochet in each stitch across to the opposite corner. And I will be working, covering up this tail here now so I don't have to weave it in later. So single in each, lining up that tail at the top of the stitches, and just work single crochet in each stitch across. So keep working and I'll meet you again when we have reached the opposite corner. I'm reaching the opposite corner and I worked a single in each stitch across. And I had 135 stitches and I worked in each and every one of those. And now I'm at that corner stitch. So it's telling us to, in this corner, I'm going to work into the same stitch. I'm going to do a single, a chain 2, and then a single. And with that corner, I will now turn my piece around so that we are able to work along the long side of our Afghan. So here I have a tail that ended this last stripe. I will work around it to weave it in as I work the border. And as you can see here now, it tells us to work the single crochets evenly. And like I said before, you have a section in the pattern that tells us about how many stitches to put along each stripe. So for stripe 30, we're going to put 8 single crochets. So I'll be starting here, working into the row ends, counting 1, 2, and as you can see, I'm working along, keeping this tail up at the top, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, and I'll do my 8th here in the last row end. So that was 8 single crochets along the stripe, and I was working along this tail, and I worked 8 stitches, so that should be enough, and I'll just fasten off the rest of it. Now I'm at my next stripe, so along stripe 29 it says to work 6 stitches. So I'll place one first here, my second, and then let's find a spot for my third, and then go past the ridge for my fourth, and then my fifth, and then a sixth one. So that's the way you will keep working across. When you come to the tails, you can choose to work around them, or if you rather want to weave them in later. So for this one, I'm gonna let this one wait till later, and the light blue here, the spa, I'm gonna let that one follow, and for stripe 28, it tells me to work 6 stitches. So I'll work around spa, working 1, and then 2, and let's do a third, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6. So this is working out evenly. I can now fasten off that little end tail of spa, and I can move on working along the next stripe, working 7 stitches, and then 6 stitches, and 8 stitches, and so on. So keep working down along the side, turn the corner the same way as we turn the corner up here with a single, a chain, and a single, and then work all the way around your afghan the exact same way, and I'll meet you again when we have finished coming all the way around. I worked all the way around and coming now to the last corner. I have the single, chain 2 single that I started with, and I will now go into that first single crochet stitch and then pull through the yarn and also through the loop on my hook, and we have finished round 1, and we can fasten off the seafoam. So there we go. We are ready to work round 2. So now we will be working with cappuccino, and we're going to join in the first corner space. So here we have that corner space, so just put your hook through the space, grab the cappuccino on your hook, and pull it through. Now we will chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is for being a double crochet and a chain 1, and then we'll work another double crochet into the same space. So we're again creating a corner here with a chain space. So there we go. I'm going to line up the little tail of cappuccino, and now I will be working a double crochet in each single crochet across all the way to the corner with the opposite chain 2 space. I'm nearing the next corner and I'm working a double crochet in the last single crochet before the corner, and then in the corner space I will go into the space and work a double crochet, a chain 1 and a double crochet all into the very same space, and then turn your piece so you can work along the long side, and starting in the first stitch after the corner you will work double crochet in each single crochet all the way across to the next corner, and then repeat what we did here and work along the short end to the opposite corner, and then again work the corner and then continue up along the long side, and meet me again when we are at the end of this round. We are now at the end of round 2 and I'm working my last stitch here before I'm about to join in the corner. So I worked my last double crochet, I go to the corner where we started with the chain 4 and into the top there of the 3rd chain I will stick through and join for my last stitch. So there we have joined, and we can now fasten off Cappuccino, and we'll bring in Color Harbor for our next 2 rounds. So just as we started round 2, we will start round 3. We will join Harbor into the corner space here by sticking your hook through the corner and then yarn over and pull it through the corner space. Hold the tail to the side and get this round started by working chain 4, and then a double crochet into the same space. And just like on round 2, we will be working double crochet now in each double crochet across to the next corner, starting here in the first one, and then working double crochet, chain 1, double crochet also into the next corner space, and then continue all the way around in the same way. So work that for round 3 and for round 4, and I'll meet you again at the end of round 4. I'm coming towards the end of round 4, working my last double crochets here before I reach the corner. So we'll go through that last one, and then I will be joining here at the top of the 3rd chain. 1, 2, 3. And with that, I have finished round 4. For round 5, our very last round, we will be working reverse single crochet in the opposite direction. And we will now be working with 2 strands of the yarn. So we'll add 1 strand of Harbor, and then with the 2 strands, we'll make a chain 1. So with that, we now have 2 strands on our hook, holding 2 strands as our working yarn, and then turn your piece so that we can work in the opposite direction. So we will work reverse single crochets in the next 8 stitches, starting in the very first one. So find your first stitch here behind the hook, and then grab both those strands of yarn and pull them through. You see that we now have 4 loops on our hook. Make sure to grab both your working strands and pull them through. Then go into the next stitch, grab both the working yarns, pull them through, yarn over and pull through. Then into the next one, pull the 2 strands through, and then yarn over and pull through. So this way, and the way the pattern explains it now, is that we will be working in the first 8 double crochet stitches. So I have done 3 so far, and then I will continue till I have worked 8. And then it tells us to skip 1 stitch. And this is because we are working now with 2 strands of the yarn held double, so it's just thicker than when we were working with 1 strand. And therefore we will not need to work in as many stitches as we previously did on the border. So keep counting your stitches. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm making my 8th one. And then just the repetition says to skip the next one. And then I will work reversed singles in each of the next 10, and then skip 1, and do that a total of 18 times. So just keep your counting and keep working this way all the way around your afghan for your very last round. I'm almost all the way around. I am working my last reverse single here right before the corner. So here we are now at the corner where I will place my very last reverse single crochet, and then I'm all the way around. So I will join here now in the first reverse by just going through the stitches there and pulling it also through the loops I have on my hook. So with that, you can fasten off harbor, pull them out, and ta-da! We have finished our very last round of our afghan. So now when we have finished the border, we have reached the finishing where it tells us to weave in the remaining ends. And as you can see, even though we did work around a couple of the ends and we also worked the border around a couple of them, I still have a few to weave in. So I also have the last ones here that we used for our last round. So I'll start with these 2 and just put them on your tapestry needle and then just run them through the stitches here at the border. So I'll just go through these chunky stitches here, the reverse singles that we made, and I will in general let myself work the tails through somewhere between 6 and 10 stitches to be all secure that they will stay woven in. So just run them round amount of stitches, tighten the strands, and then with your scissor just fasten them off. So that's the way we will weave in these last strands that we have from our last round. So we'll just run them through the outer edge, stretch out, and then fasten off. For these tails here that comes from our stripes, we can actually run them back into their stripe. So for the seafoam, we'll just go into that seafoam stripe that we have here and just run that tail through the stitches so that it has its matching color. So just again, go just through the stitches here in the back on your wrong side and work it through at least like close to 8 and 10 stitches, and then you can fasten it off. We have a white one, so with the white one, I will run at the back of the white stitches in the stripe it comes from. So just run it through. If you at any point would be worried that they will start working their way out, I sometimes skip the last one and then go back into a couple of the stitches and work one more time back before I actually cut it off, and that should make it totally secure. So keep weaving in your remaining ends, and I'll meet you again when it's time to go over the blocking process. Are you ready to learn the blocking process? It's really easy, but an important step for a professional finish. So once you have finished your piece, it naturally will be a little bit uneven. And that's where the blocking comes in. So for many items, you can use just wet blocking, which means that you would soak your piece into water and then just wring it out and lay it out flat and just put it into measure and let it dry that way. But for an acrylic yarn, that is not always enough. It works really well for natural fiber, but for acrylic yarn, it sometimes takes a little bit more to keep it in place. So if not wet blocking is enough, then you can do steam blocking. And when you do so, it's really good if you do have blocking boards. They come like this, usually in a big pack, and you connect them together to give them a measurement of your afghan or other piece. And so what you do is that you put your piece on top of your blocking boards. So you will line them up so that you have the corner of your piece lined up in the corner of your blocking board. Then you will use something called T-pins because they look like this, like little T's. So you will take the T-pin, you will put your afghan all the way out here into the corner and then put a pin through the edge. Then go a little bit up along the edge and then pin it to the side of the blocking board. You make sure to get the corner into the corner. And if you see between two pins, you still have a little bit of a not so straight edge, you'll just go and add more T-pins just to make sure that you get that perfect straight edge along the side of your afghan. So keep pinning it. If you don't have pin boards, you can also pin it on top of your bedspread. Maybe place a towel on top of your bedspread and then you can pin your afghan to your bedspread. So work your way around until you feel like your edges are all nice and straight. At this point, you can use just regular water and spray on your piece. You could make sure the surface is wet and then leave it to dry. If that is enough for your piece, when you unpin it, it's going to stay all flat. But still, if that's not enough, then that's when steam blocking comes in. So you would use your iron. You would make sure to put it on a setting for acrylic. So don't make sure that it doesn't get too hot and will melt the fibers. So put it on the lowest setting and allow for having the steam coming, and then just hoover it over your afghan. Do not touch the afghan itself, but leave a space of at least 1.5 inches or 2 inches between the iron and the afghan. And just make sure to steam over the whole surface of your afghan and then leave it there until you can feel that the whole surface is all dried up. And when it is dried up, then you will just unpin it from the edge here. And your afghan will lay all perfectly flat with now it's all straight and blocked edges. And you are ready to enjoy your piece. Congratulations, you've done it! I know you're proud of completing this sampler afghan and possibly even more proud of all that you've learned as we work through all 30 stripes. You will treasure this afghan as a badge of honor for all of the stitches and techniques that you conquered during the process. It's been a joy to be your guide, and I hope to see you again soon in another Annie's stitching adventure.